It's Wednesday, November 5th, and I'm here with a message from Spirit that has nothing to do with a tarot card. I hosted a group event yesterday, and it was this small group of women who came together for lunch, had me come in the afternoon, offer my gifts, my services, and it was an interesting process because the theme that developed over the course of me channeling Spirit and reading for these women was one of controlling the conversation that we have with ourselves. The first woman I connected to, she had a man that she helped pass into spirit, and she had gotten into this place of, I could have done more, I should have done more, what if I had tried this? And his message to her was, you did everything you could, you couldn't help my passing, but you're stuck in this quagmire of unintelligent grief. That was important for her to hear because he was with her. He was aware of the conversation that she was having with herself, and he wanted it to change. He wanted it to be different. He didn't want her to rake herself across the coals. And on these messages went. I got to a woman who whose mother came through and acknowledged her cruelty, her anger, but gave props to her daughter for doing everything she could to not become like her mother. Now, the mother in spirit was aware of all her actions, everything that she had done, but was praising her daughter for not doing more of the same. I want you to consider how important self-care is. We all know that. It's quite, quite the buzzword, but self-care ultimately comes from having an intelligent conversation with ourselves. That narrative that we hold every moment of every day, where we're either raking ourselves across the coals or we're giving ourselves that gentle guidance that a loved one would give us. It culminated with me asking them to think of their greatest regret, their greatest shame or guilt. And of course, the woman who was the opposite of her mother, she didn't have many, and she was a unicorn in that way. But I asked them to think about their regret, their shame, their guilt. The other women there immediately had them. And then I asked those women to think about the guidance they would give the woman across from them in this group, the guidance they would give a complete stranger. And I had to make them sit with that for a moment in terms of how they had more compassion and grace for strangers than they did for themselves. They were telling themselves stories about their regret, their shame and guilt that they would never want their loved one to tell them. So I know that most of us are guilty of this. Most of us are guilty of walking around telling ourselves these really unfortunate, these really sad, and these just plain wrong stories. So I come to you today and I ask you to consider self-care, and I ask you to consider how important it is to control the conversation that we have with ourselves. Take that all into consideration today and be well, be gentle. Let me be frank, if being a bitch to yourself is ever going to work, it would have worked by now. You can find me online, my readings, my books, my podcasts, all at joshsimons.com.